Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to make a beautiful keepsake album using supplies from our sponsor Offray. You can find them online at offray.com. You'll need some ribbon for this project. You'll also need scissors, an X-Acto knife or paper trimmer, and a little bit of patience. We're also going to use two types of glue, both hot glue and dry adhesive. And here you can see that I have one cover done in my album, and I don't have any embellishments glued on because I always wait till the end to do that. It's a basic spiral bound album that you could find at any department store or even at the dollar store if you're lucky. But once we're done with it, it is going to look like a keepsake. The first step is to cut a piece of cardstock to match the cover of your album. Mine was 7 inches by 7 1/4 inches. And this way, if your album is not light or white, your ribbons won't get tainted by the color underneath because ribbon does tend to be a little sheer. Now, on one edge of the cardstock, I'm putting 2 strips of dry adhesive. And this is a permanent scrapbooking adhesive, but it'll actually be temporary with the ribbon. We'll be able to pull it off and readjust if we need to, so that's why I'm doing that. So now what I'm going to do is line my ribbon up to the edge of that cardstock. And on one edge it's going to be nice and flush, but don't worry if your ribbon isn't exactly right, the right width to fit the whole length. It'll work out at the end. So once you've got that first strip on, you want to wrap it around and you want to trim it once you're about 2 inches past the end of that piece of cardstock. We're going to be wrapping this ribbon around the entire album cover, so we just want to make sure we have room to tape it down. And you're going to want to repeat the taping down of the ribbon and trimming it, and use that first piece of ribbon as a guide until you have gotten all the way down that strip of paper. When you put that last strip of ribbon on, don't worry if you have a little bit of overhang. I have about 1/8 of an inch overhang on my cover here, but that's not a big deal because that's going to get woven in and tucked under as we go along. Here you can see the way our panel is going to glue on top of our album. So that little overhang there, that's going to be tucked down by the yellow ribbon. The yellow ribbon is going to wrap around the album from the opposite side of the overhang, tucking in any leftover ribbon that we have. Now we're going to attach our yellow ribbon to the inside edge of our album. So I'm putting 2 strips of adhesive along the edge on the inside of the album, just like I did before with the blue. And I'm sticking my first piece of yellow ribbon right next to the binding coils. I want to go right next to the hole punched holes, but not over them because I want to make sure my book can open and close freely. Now I'm wrapping the ribbon around the front so I can figure out how much I'm going to need. I'm trimming my ribbon 2 inches beyond the edge of my album, just like it did before with the blue. And we're going to just keep on continuing sticking down strips of ribbon until we get to the end. And we'll have a little bit of overhang on this strip too. Nothing to worry about because it's on the end. It's the edge away from the binding, so it can get tucked in as we weave our ribbons together. Now it's time to attach the blue ribbon panel onto our album cover. I'm going to use my adhesive gun just like I used for the for attaching the ribbon to begin with. I'm going to put many strips of adhesive on the white paper here. It is really strong when you go paper to paper like my ribbon album. Now you could have stuck that blue ribbon right to the cover of your album if it was lighter in color or if your ribbon was darker, but you'll end up with a rough edge along the spine. So if you do that, you'll want to make sure you cover it with a little bit of decorative trim or something. But this gives you a nice seamless look for covering any type of album, and I really like that versatility. Make sure you're really careful to line this panel up exactly edge to edge so you won't have any weak spots. Then press it down firmly to secure. There, doesn't that look so neat? Okay, now for the fun part, we're going to start weaving. So what I like to do is actually put all of my blue strips across, and then take my yellow strips and start weaving them in and out around the blue strips. I'm going to speed this up, but I'm going to keep it all in the video so you can see exactly how to do it. We're doing a simple under-over type of weaving, the same stuff you did in grade school. Now you're probably thinking that if you put some adhesive underneath that it would be a lot easier. Well, if you want to do that, I recommend using a spray adhesive or a quilter's basting spray because it will hold the ribbon down without making puckers and pulling the ribbon like putting little strips of adhesive or glue would do. So there's a little tip for you. Now that you have it all woven, you want to gently tug on the ribbon just to pull it straight. Okay, you don't want to force it, it's just a gentle tug. And you're going to do it to both the warp and the weave of your ribbons, or the blue and the yellow as the case may be. And then we're going to flip the whole thing over. To flip our work over, you want to put a book on top of the ribbon you just wove and hold it tightly. And then you're going to put your hand underneath your book, or the book cover, and flip the entire thing over. There we go, we can see it flipped over without disturbing our ribbon. Now we're going to apply adhesive to the two edges where our ribbon is going to be tacked down. Start folding up your ribbon on the bottom edge closest to the book spine. Those are going to be pretty easy ones to fold up because there isn't any tucking to do, other than it's just going to kind of pick up those little blue ribbons. Make sure the blue ribbons are staying straight as you do this, especially that bottom one that wants to wander. Fold up each of the ribbons on the bottom, and it's going to create a really nice finish on the front. And the other thing it's doing is it's actually encasing that whole front piece of cardstock that you had glued on there, because you've got that entire yellow ribbon wrapped. Now you want to leave that last one down for the time being so you can kind of fuss with it a bit. Once you get it just the way you want it, you'll be able to tack it up, but you might want to get some of those blue ones folded over first. I'm starting up at the edge where, up at the top. I'm going to fold over that blue ribbon. You'll have to apply little bits of adhesive as you go because you're going to be covering up some of it with your other ribbons. Just try to be as neat as you can as you fold over the following ribbons. It's a good idea to flip the page over once in a while and look at the front of the album and make sure you're not pulling any of the ribbons too tight. You want to make sure that the ribbons are nice and straight on the front, so feel free to flip over the cover and adjust from time to time. If you have any ribbon that's hanging off over the edge, you'll want to tuck it in and glue it down. I prefer that method rather than trimming because sometimes if you trim your ribbon too close to the edge, it can fray and then you have little hairs poking out. So just fold and glue and you'll be all set. Now it's time to cut the end papers for our album. I just made mine about 7 by 7 1/4 because that's the size of my cover. You just want it to come in just slightly smaller than the ribbon cover. And then you want to apply a bead of hot glue right along the spine. So I'm going right along the edge that has the coil binding. You don't want to get too close, you don't want it to squirt out and get in the binding, but you do want it to be pretty close there. And then you carefully but quickly want to line up your paper to the binding. As long as that first gluing was accurate, you can start adding glue towards the center of the cover and then press your paper down as you go. You can either press the paper down with your hands or you can actually get like an old credit card or a piece of cardboard or something to help press the paper if it feels too warm to you. I've got one here that I like to keep handy for spreading glue and that sort of thing. You can see it, just make sure that you don't have any lumps or bubbles or anything like that in the glue. You want to continue on gluing until you have that end paper completely glued down. Now add a final bead of glue right along the edge of the album. This is going to seal it down well. You want to make sure you get really close to the edge of the album so you don't have paper lifting up, because that will show wear really quickly. And there's our finished album. You can add embellishments or whatever you'd like to make it a little more special or more custom for you. You can add borders, photo corners, ribbon flowers, whatever you like. I want to thank you so much for watching today, and please check out our sponsor, Offray. You can find them online at offray.com. I'll have links below in the video descriptions to the products I used in case you want to check them out further. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Until next time, happy crafting!